All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you for tuning in to the midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. This time for December 7th, 2022. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy holidays, by the way. Everything's going good here. As far as I can tell from the market, it's still very robust. And from all the coins I've seen in just, I would say, the last 2 days, a lot of interesting stuff coming out in the marketplace, and this time every year, it seems to be the right time to find some of the more unique fare coming out as people are looking to cash in on some of their finds. So we're going to take a look at the I would say about last day and a half worth of notable errors and varieties that folks like you and I have found out in the wild. So pretty cool stuff. Again, no graded coins. We don't typically talk about the graded stuff as that's an unneeded expense for a lot of these. Sending a $20-$30 error coin to PCGS is going to end up costing you a lot more money in the long run. The companies like that charge like $60, $65 for an error attribution. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to enhance the value of your coins. So please do not do that. 99% of the time, I would say just don't consider grading at all. And you're going to find that a number of the coins and currency that we're going to look at today are so big and wild. They're even ungraded. And, there's no coin or piece of paper money too large or too small that you could sell raw. Aside from that, like I had mentioned, we're coming up to the last few weeks where you can make some pretty good money. Folks are going to be buying coins all the way up to about the week before Christmas. Things begin to kind of simmer down, and if you need to go and sell coins after, like, say, the 20th of the month, you should probably wait until maybe a week later after Christmas, or perhaps waiting until after the first of the year. The big reason why is that the market slows down. There's less people buying and bidding up on coins during the last 10 days of the month of December. It's just the way it goes each and every single year. So quick little PSA for you, just to make sure that that window is closing here pretty quickly. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Let's go ahead and check out what we have here from some of our favorite sellers. Starting out with this, I would dare say it's a 1982 small date copper zinc Lincoln cent, and that's what the seller had stated as what this could possibly be. So it's a 1982 small date question mark. But what we have here is a coin that was not only broad struck, but also has an indent. You can see that there, just covering the date. So a broad strike occurs when the collar is not present during the striking process. The collar keeps the coin in place during that particular process, and if it's not there, the metal flow will flow outwards, making the coin a lot bigger. It's like pressing your thumb into a ball of Play-Doh. All right, so that material goes outwards, makes it a lot bigger at first glance. The indent occurs when another planchet is overlapped on top of that. Usually it's offset a little bit. So you're going to get a uniface indent on both of those coins, the other planchet and the host coin that you see here. I would say if you were to come across these, unless you direly need one for your collection, and the reason why I'm kind of throwing this kind of hesitation out there is that the composition is not long for the world. The zincans, as we like to call them, these things deteriorate a lot faster than traditional bronze planchets that we've seen previous to 1982. You could still sell these while they're still liquid in the market. This one ended up selling for $33.12 with 14 total bids accumulated to get to that amount of money. Our first piece of currency is going to be this one right here. Pretty neat, although it's a little bit older note, and you can find these on just about every conceivable date of notes, although I haven't seen one in quite a while on newer notes. This is a 1963 $1 bill, just a well-circulated note on the front here. But when we take a look at the reverse, it's got what they call an ink smear or solvent smear. Someone had actually asked me, well, why do they call it a solvent smear? It should just be an ink smear. I'm like, I totally agree. Solvent smear is the terminology that came out years ago to paper money error collectors. And the ink that's actually used to produce the notes that you see today is actually like watery thin. It's almost like India ink, if you guys have used that before, for doing like color washes and artwork and that sort of stuff. The inks used, it's very light, it's very watery, and it's a combination of not only the inks but also various chemicals and solvents. So that's why they call it a solvent smear. This one right here ended up selling for $46 with 12 bids. Not a super duper example. I've seen much more crazier ink smears, but at the end of the day, these are probably kind of like lower end paper money error. There's between this and like gutter folds and wet ink transfers, things like that. These are all kind of like low end of the totem pole caliber type errors. So. $46 ain't nothing. If you don't need it, sell it and reap the rewards of today's market. This is actually a very neat one, albeit very, very easy to miss. This is a 1971 D Kennedy $50. Probably a roll find if I had to venture a guess. Kennedy $50 don't really circulate too well out there these days just because of its enormous size. Can you imagine having like 8 or 9 of these in your pocket? It's weigh it down quite a bit. And that's the big reason why that these aren't being produced today for circulation, nor is it a coin that circulates or is demanded by the banking system as a coin they keep on hand. But a very eagle eye collector or hunter noticed a little bit of clash dies on this one. So you can see some clashing of those rays on the reverse of a Kennedy $50 that's clashed on the obverse die at one point. Good job, by the way, from the seller, with these close-up images and the arrows. That'll help you guys tremendously. And on the whole coin, this is the only spot where there's any sort of die clashing. So it's actually quite minor in retrospect, but still. Would you turn away $28 for this coin? That's how much it sold for. And if I found one just like it or a number of them, I would sell them all day long. These are just, again, very, very minor for the type of error that they are. And if you could guarantee yourself $20-$30 for a sale of this coin with a face value of only 50 cents, I would say take advantage of that, as this person did. Okay, well, this is not really something to get excited about. This is more of a public service announcement on what is going to be a growing trend in faking errors. And this is one of them right here. This is a 1995 $1 bill that the seller had stated was miscut. It's a cutting error, right? It should be. I mean, it looks like it. It's a partial of one note and nearly a whole one of another. Actually, this is fake. What we have here, not saying that the seller did this, but if you're selling it, you're probably as guilty as other people that do it as well. This was actually cut from a full sheet. They call it a novelty sheet. They were traditionally sold by the BEP store. That's the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. They're the folks that print the money. They actually have a store, much like the U.S. Mint has a store where you can buy collector coins. And they're known for selling sheets, full sheets of these notes. The big telltale giveaway on these is going to be the serial number. All right, see how it starts with 99. The BEP produces notes in a serial range that go all the way up to 96 million, so 96 and all zeros. And those are traditionally the notes that get circulated. So if you see a double nine, these were held back by the BEP, these sheets, and they're sold as novelties. So the double nine, huge giveaway on this one. You would have to be 96 and all zeros and under for it to be a legitimate error, which is very unfortunate. I hate seeing full sheets getting mutilated this way for ill-gotten gains, I guess. And there are some people that have caught on to this. I've seen a lot of other examples sell for a lot less, although this is a very egregious sale. This one ended up selling for $109.70, and that's with 3 total bids. I've seen cutting error type of things like this, and it was widespread for about the last 5 years, and it's slowed down a little bit. But this is just a testament that you go to the well once too often and it's working. They're going to keep doing that. So yeah, pay attention to those serial numbers. If you see one of these that looks particularly attractive, just know that these were hand cut out of a full novelty sheet. So there you go. Buyer beware. So the next one that we have here, and oh boy, man, these things are starting to drop like a rock. This is a 2022 P Wilma Mankiller American Women Quarter. Man, we've had so many series, I've completely forgot what's what these days. But yeah, this is the big error of the year, and about 30 days ago, you could have realized the full potential of these coins. Like this one, for example, features the obverse only retained cud die break. You can see that right above Washington's head here. So a piece of the die had fractured. It was still part of the die, hadn't completely fallen out, but it was certainly getting close. This was a coin that was selling for $300 to $400 as recently as a month ago, and we're starting to see prices dip, because I think a lot of folks that wanted this coin had already bought it a few months ago. This one right here sold for $152.50 with 7 total bids. I'm just beginning to see interest wane a little bit, less bidding activity, overall lower sold prices on not only the single-sided retained cut version, but also the versions as well with the reverse retained cut. So if you got these, might as well sell them, or just wait until next year. The market will be to a point where it's going to kind of bottom out a little bit, and then they'll go up a little bit more from there. So they'll take a pretty tremendous dip, and then they'll recover the same way that the 2021 retained cud Lincoln cents did last year. We're seeing a little bit of a resurgence from those, but that's only because we're a year beyond when those were first discovered and sold. A lot of the premier examples had left the marketplace, and they're going to be in short supply. So it's still a great find, still worth quite a bit of money, just not as much as they used to be. We also have a 1989 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is pretty easy, struck off center, I would say by 40%. Decent coin, if you're looking to add one of these because you need the date. There are date collectors of off-center struck errors. This is the one for you. This one sold for $19.76 with 2 total bids. This is a date that you don't traditionally see pop up too much. Maybe a couple times a month, but not a rarity. Yeah, you can hang around and wait if you need a 1989p. They will pop up eventually. All right, so here's the one coin or one type of anomaly that I'm highly specking on, only because that much like toned coins and how explosive that market is, the toned or the market for woody wood grain coins, I think, is going to get noticed here in the next 5 to 10 years. And I know that seems like a very long time, but we're beginning to see more and more sales of a lot of examples, not only well-worn examples like this 1919S you see here, but also some premium mid-state examples, which have commanded such a rich amount of money these days. But the wood graining that you see on this coin is very strong on the reverse. These are traditionally referred to as an improper alloy mix. So these coins are predominantly copper. All right, what makes them bronze is that they have a very, very small amount of tin in them, and it was actually a metallic pairing that didn't quite work out as well as some people thought, especially in the early years when mixing these two alloys together was a little bit of a pain point with the U.S. Mint suppliers of the planchets. But yeah, this is just a byproduct of just a improper, very poor mix of alloys, just copper and tin, thereby leading to a very attractive looking kind of artistic quality to these. And these are being collected by date today. And, as more people kind of gain an interest because they are still quite affordable in the marketplace, the affordability might go out the window. We'll see. These are very, very cool coins. This one sold for only $12. So if that's any indication of, the affordability aspect of these, especially for such an early date. So keep an eye out for these for sure. And I would just keep an eye out on the market for wood grain toned coins or wood grained coins in general. They're not exactly toned on both Lincoln cents and nickels specifically. That's where a lot of the interest is. The next one that we have here is kind of like one of the steals of the week. We have a 1982p Jefferson nickel with a full-blown cud die break on the obverse there. You can see it on the crown of Jefferson's head. So the die had completely fallen off, that little piece, and that's just a byproduct of wear and tear. Now, cuds, as you guys know, I will repeat it, even though 90% of you know what it is, involves the rim edge and goes into the design devices. So that's what a cud is. If you have just like an internal die break or chip or something like that, please do not call them cuds. That will certainly confuse a lot of folks who are interested in collecting these. And since these have a lot of liquidity, the market's really high on cuds right now. Being as correct as you can be on the terminology is paramount. This one right here, $15.30. I've seen the same cud sell for $30-$40 on multiple occasions, and that's in the most recent past, like within the last 30 to 45 days. So this one was kind of a steal for the day. So pretty nice catch on this one. Okay, so here's a coin that I have never covered or seen on any of not only my Pocket Change Market Report or in any of my videos whatsoever. So for those of you that are varieties savvy within the Lincoln Cent series, knows that the 1994 double to die reverse, I believe that's the FS801 if I'm not mistaken, with the doubled Lincoln Memorial columns, is a hot coin. But did you know there's a similar variety on this 1993D? As a matter of fact, it's referred to as just the DDR number 1. This is a very rare coin, and I'm surprised that more people are not looking for this. As close as it is to the 94 DDR Lincoln, this one right here, I think, should be atop that list of coins that should be considered for things like the Cherry Picker's Guide, because it's just that special. So this is a very nice premium example. I believe this was sold by Brian Rybar, who is one of the main sellers of some really cool Lincoln varieties. So to check this out, see those arrows there? That's actually a doubled column, which makes up the DDR number 1 for a 93D Lincoln. Very strong, very pronounced. Even with the naked eye, you might be able to see something like this as well. This coin right here ended up selling for $47.91. So for those of you on the West Coast that's looking for something and starving for something to find, here's a really good one. So The folks who are putting together the Cherry Pickers Guide, guys, take note. This one should be added to the next volume or edition or whatever it is. This is a really strong one. Okay, so this is really cool. It's a 1953 $5 silver certificate. All right, so they call it the second print. It's the print with Abraham Lincoln. That black ink area on here is misaligned. And you can see even just a little sliver of the corresponding next note on the sheet. So what's the deal with this red thing here, this sticker? Well, that's a rejection tag. A BEP employee actually put that little sticker right on the note. Or probably it was on the sheet. I don't know. But during the quality control process, they noticed that this thing was misaligned. And typically they'll pull these out and insert in a star note. Right? That's kind of how it works. But this one just became ignored, I guess. It got packed up into a strap, I'm sure, and sent out to the Federal Reserve Bank and then to the banking system. But yeah, this is a note that has a rejection mark on it. And we've also seen other rejection marks like a red wax pencil type of mark that they just kind of mark on the front of the note that is deemed or needed to be pulled out of that strap. But there you go. Yeah, misaligned on the reverse as well, which is known as the first print. And yeah, how much did this one sell for? Well, no surprise, a huge amount of money. $280.50 was the sale price on this one. So if you encounter a note with either a red kind of like crayon mark or one of those stickers, do not try and remove it. That's kind of a big deal, and that shows that note is indeed in error. Here's another one here, this time on a 1988 $1 bill. It looks miscut, but when you look at the actual printing of the thing, the overprint or the third print is actually very well centered respective to the shape and size of the paper. It's the second print or that black print that's misaligned on this one. Just look at the reverse, perfectly centered. This is the first print. And this is perfectly centered onto the note, and that just gives you more information as this being a misaligned second print. This one ended up selling for $90, and that's with 3 total bids. Again, a very nice error, very well collected, even in this condition. 1956D is a date you should be looking at every single one. There's a lot of repunch mint marks for this date. It's actually a cornucopia of fun when you come across this date because, it's like a 50-50 shot that you're going to find a variety. This one right here is RPM number 3. You can see that there's a faint secondary punched Denver mint mark that is north of the primary mint mark. This one actually in this condition is a very nice coin. When they get to be kind of too rough and well circulated, this one's kind of hard to see. I found quite a few of these myself, and they're just a really cool find. Pretty minor, $11.99 sale here for this one. That's 1,199 times face. So you can't really ignore the huge gains on this one. All right, so we're beginning to get into what I call like the wet and wild section of the errors on the PCMR this week. We have a 1981D Lincoln Memorial cent. This is a dual error, all right? So it's slightly off-center or maybe broad struck, first and foremost. It does have a fingerprint. Yeah, you're seeing that correct. And it's also got kind of like a straight raggedy clip on there as well. So it's got a clip, a little bit off-center, pretty neat little double duo here. This one sold for $50. So if you didn't care too much about the fingerprint, this would be a nice wild error to add to a collection. Another big one right here. What's going on here? I really can't put my finger what's wrong with this note. Oh yeah, that's right. The overprint is inverted. It's printed upside down on the sheet. I'm sure there's a number of these that exist, but this is a 1974 $1 Fed Reserve note. Very, very dramatic error, by the way. When you see this, you know what it is. And people that don't collect into numismatics or currency or whatever will see this and know that something is definitely wrong. So very cool error. Very, very expensive, by the way. This one sold for $355.59. This is like one of those examples of items that, you generally see in a graded holder, but in this particular case, it's simply just not necessary. There's the reverse, showing just a little bit of circulation wear. Nothing too crazy here, but that is undeniably cool kind of error right there. So this one right here, I've talked about on a few occasions, and people that have found this have said, "Oh yeah, that reverse is struck through a boatload of grease." And I'm like, no, it's not. This is something actually quite complex. This is a 2016P Harper's Ferry quarter. 2016, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, the last digit in the date's kind of junked up there. But what I've gathered is that this is like extremely like wild reverse die wear is actually what this is. There's actually a terminology that was used for this particular anomaly. I think we talked about one of these on our live coin Q&A live streams at one point, and there was something very specific that this was called. No, it's not acid dipped, because if that were the case, it would also involve the obverse of the coin, which obviously on this example is perfect looking. In terms of its strike and its appearance. The coin is mid-state as well. I know it's kind of hard to tell from these photos, but this one right here, $31 was the sale price with 7 bids, which that seems to be the going rate for these. I haven't seen them sell for like crazy amounts of money because they are being found in circulation. This is probably one of the better looking ones I've seen in quite a while, but there you go. Some very severe die wear on this coin. And we also have this one too, pretty neat here. 1943 Lincoln Steel Cent. Goodness, this is a minor kind of broad strike or off center. I mean, it's very, very small too, like 5%. But pretty cool considering that it's everybody's favorite, like one shot, unique composition type of coin. I mean, this one is like one of the more widely collected coins for a lot of folks, even new people. So pretty neat little minor error. This one sold for $70.60. Another crazy one. I mean, if you thought the 81 Lincoln that we saw earlier was pretty nutty, this one is just as nutty as well. This is a 1970s Denver Lincoln Memorial Cent. It's broad struck, number one. Let's just get that out of the way. It's got a curved clip, which is a small clip there on the left. But it's also got just a very large, disproportionate kind of like, they call it a straight clip on this, but it looks more, convex, I guess? I don't know, or elliptical, maybe an elliptical clip, a very, very, very shallow elliptical clip. Very, very neat. It's like a piece of scrap that was struck on. This one right here is sold for $100.60. And I could see why. If you come across any of these, just know that if you could properly explain what you have, you will have no problem making a boatload of money. And we also have this one as well. The coin's not in great shape, but this is a true blue error in every sense. This poor guy had kind of a rough life, but it's a 1983. Yeah, you can see the date a little bit from what the seller had mentioned. Lincoln Memorial Cent with a tremendous obverse strike through. So there was either a lot of like grease or, like impacted type of hardened grease with debris and metal shavings and all sorts of goodness that was on the die prior to the strike. And that's kind of like the final product there. This one right here sold for $30.60, which is quite surprising considering that the condition is not great. To be honest, I think it's like crappy. But yeah, $30 sale. I think I probably would have sold it for that all day long. That's just a really good sale. Good old Wounded Eagle's back. This is the FS901 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Always, again, a very important find because they are quite common and they are quite valuable as well. This one has the double die gouges that go through the eagle's breast feather area. So you have this one longer die gouge here, and then you also have a secondary smaller one in this area as well. This is like one of the most extreme close-ups I've had of this particular anomaly too, so that's pretty neat. This one sold for $102.50 with 34 total bids. So there was a number of people very interested in this one. The condition is actually quite nice for what it is. I've seen a lot of cruddy looking coins, very well worn examples that still sell for 60, 70 bucks. But this one has a little bit more meat, a little bit more luster, and that's really what matters. Wow, this one's cool. This is actually a dual error, only the seller had mentioned that this is a single error. Obviously, the curved clip cannot be ignored on a bicentennial Denver candy half dollar, but if you look on the reverse over the word half, you can even see a little bit of a strike through. It's anybody's guess what that could be. It could be maybe a bristle, a wire bristle, or something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, any error on a bicentennial coin, whether it's this, the quarter, or the Ike dollar, are all heavily pursued. It's one of the most popular modern coins on the face of the earth. And because of that, this one right here sold for $89.12, which is really good, considering that curved clips of any sort are generally very inexpensive. Speaking of wild, we also have this 1930 Lincoln wheat cent. It's damaged, but I think, it wouldn't make any difference whatsoever. Chances are that you won't ever come across another one like this again. So if you do find one and it has a big old edge gash, embrace it, guys. This is a coin with a retained struck through wire. This thing is awesome. I've seen struck through staples, wire bristles, wire, anything, man. I mean, this stuff is cool. I love these. This coin was probably in a wheat cent bag, and it just made its paces around, and people thought, oh yeah, that's damaged, but nope. Sure enough, that's a strike through right there, and it means a lot when it's still retained onto the coin, which doesn't happen too often. Generally, these things do fall out over time. So this coin sold for $187.50, ladies and gentlemen. 16 total bids, just piling on to get to that fantastic amount. Yeah, even with the damage, just goes to show you that there is still a lot of market for these wild errors. Speaking of wild, we also have this undated Lincoln Memorial cent. It's first of all, it's struck off center, like way off center, like 75% off center, but it's got 3 clips as well. And I looked at it, I'm like, is it 3 clips? Or is it 2 massive curved clips that you see here? And it was a saddle strike, because it's right here on the actual off-center edge of the design there, where it's just straight. So you had 2 coins that were butt up against each other in the presses. What can I say? This thing is pretty neat, and not something that you commonly come across just going through change casually, right? Or coin rolls. Anyways, this one right here sold for $80.60. You don't see them quite this wild, and you don't see them too much at all on eBay, but when they do, it's during the holidays. Yep. And this one right here, this is actually a coin that a lot of people have been finding. These Washington quarter major cud die breaks are a thing of beauty. This is a P-mint version, so it's probably from the 80s. We don't know because the date's covered. There are examples with an actual secondary cud on the reverse over the word United, so look out for that too. It's a double-sided cud feature. You also have a lot of weakness over States of America, which is common because, well, there's no die piece there, so all the metal flows kind of going into that void. So this one right here sold for $95.60. This is quick, easy money if you could find them, and a lot of folks are finding them. They're not particularly rare either. All right, so this is actually, I think, a much more scarcer coin than it looks, because all the ones that we've seen with like dramatic strike throughs, well, like this one, have that obverse cud on there. This one does not. This is just struck through a bunch of grease. This is a 2022 Wilma Mankiller. Actually, this is kind of cool. Actually, I think I've seen one other example that I've talked about on a previous PCMR, but here you go. Here's another one right here. This one sold for $100. So for it not being the actual cut die break, I think that's a really, really good amount of money. Strike throughs in general, just don't see this level of market activity. But $100 sale is really good for this coin, or any coin for that matter. Cuds are king, and so is this 1982 large date bronze. So the Cud, I mean, you can't miss it. It's on the obverse, right on top of Lincoln's head, covering most of the motto, and yeah, just a good one here. This is a very, very fantastic looking example as well. So it's like red brown. It's not completely beat up. All things matter, of course, to collectors of this. $60.50 was the sale price on this, which is, again, man, that price is really good. It just keeps going up, doesn't it? And we're going to end it off on our bargain basement cherry pick here, 1905 Indian head cent. Indian head cents are fun to look through. If not for like misplaced dates or repunch dates, how about those cud or retained cuds or cuds on the reverse there? This one is pretty easy to see here at the K4 or 4 o'clock position on the reverse. Someone probably paid like $1 for this thing at a coin shop. That's how cheap they are when they're bulky and low grade like this one is. How about $36.79 with 6 bids totaled up for that amount? I mean, that's a pretty good flip, right? You know, trading off a coin that you paid less than $1 for $36 seems like pretty good math right there. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for your December 7th edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. That was a lot of fun. Man, some pretty unique stuff that I've never talked about before, all wrapped up in this early holiday special. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or hit that follow button if you're going to check me out on TikTok as well, at BlueRidgeSilverhound. We just hit 10,000 followers. How exciting. Let's keep growing that to the next level, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this one. You guys take care, happy hunting, and I will see you guys on the next coin video. So long.